Ladies and gentlemen, our top lead this evening is coming from the national capital, where for the last 6 months, citizens have been subjected to a bizarre and brazen drive. Overaged cars being picked up from outside our homes, offices, and inside our colonies. Of course, there is an NGT and a Supreme Court order that bans diesel vehicles above the age of 10 and petrol vehicles above the age of 15. But nowhere does the order say you can, without any notice, pick up cars and send them straight to the scrapyard. And yet, ladies and gentlemen, for the last 6 months, the Transport Department has been citing the NGT and the Supreme Court order and seizing as many as 10,000 vehicles. This has happened over the last 6 months. Today, the Delhi High Court has come down very heavily on the Delhi Transport Department's overreach and high-handedness. The court has said, we are not living in a dictatorship. In fact, the Delhi High Court has ordered that cars seized by the Transport Department be released within 2 weeks. But citizens will have to give an undertaking that old vehicles will not ply on the roads of the national capital or be parked in public places. Talking tough to the Aam Aadmi Party government, the High Court said the transport body's action caused chaos and confusion, and that no law allows seizure and non-release of vehicles. The court also observed that the intention behind the policy was not to scrap cars, but ensure that the national capital is pollution-free. And a balance has to be maintained between the right to use one's property and environmental interests. Earlier, the Delhi Transport Minister Kailash Gehlot too had talked tough to his own department. He issued orders to them to stop seizing and subsequently scrapping vehicles that are parked alongside roads and outside people's homes. He called the Babu's actions invasive and has directed the Transport Commissioner to frame a policy after consulting the government. Now, this is the second time that the Transport Minister has written to his own department asking them to stop the drive. Interestingly, they listened to him. They stopped the drive for a week and then resume it. This is what happened the last time. Now, most significantly, we would like to highlight a very important aspect here of this bizarre drive by the Transport Department of Delhi. The NGT order is often cited and quoted by the department to defend its actions. It says the NGT has told us to do it, the Supreme Court has told us to do it, so what we are doing is absolutely lawful. The fact is that if you read the NGT order, and if anyone reads the NGT order, it does not sanction seizure of vehicles. The NGT order clearly says that vehicles beyond the end of lifespan must be towed and fined, not impounded. But the Transport Department has gone ahead and done so with thousands of vehicles. The High Court said as much today. It said that the Delhi Transport Department had distorted the original order, and there was no law passed by any lawful authority that prohibits the keeping of old cars. The High Court also clearly clarified that for overaged cars that are towed, the owner will have to give an undertaking that he will only park his vehicle in a private space. Essentially, ladies and gentlemen, what the court is saying is that the Transport Department has not just overstepped its brief, but also deliberately harassed citizens by seizing their cars without notices and then sending them to scrapyards. My guest this evening, Tehseen Poonawalla, is a political analyst. Anurag Saxena is a practitioner. He's an automobile engineer as well. And Siddharth Luthra is a senior advocate. Thank you, all three of you, very much for joining us. Tehseen? Yeah. The Delhi High Court today finally speaking on behalf of citizens and telling us very clearly that the Delhi Transport Department essentially has overstepped its brief. Nowhere in the NGT order is it mentioned that you simply pick up someone's vehicle from outside their homes, and it happened to you, and send them to the scrapyard. And yet it has happened with thousands of vehicles in the city.
That's true, Shreya. And at the onset, I'm very grateful to the Honorable Delhi High Court for coming down so heavily on the transport department. But and that's my car whose visuals are coming out, and they picked this up from inside my private property. But let me put this and smashed windows, as you can see, to take it. I don't know why you have to smash the windows, but let's put a couple of things in perspective so your viewers know. This is a mafia being run by the transport department. In the videos that I had supplied to Mirror Now, and in This Is My Car, where the windows are smashed, the transport officer was taking the person who's involved in picking up these cars in the official vehicle. So it's like a mafia. They enter private property, they smash vehicles, and then they take it. And the transport department protects them. Recently, they take on the Delhi police because the Delhi police came to try and it was my private property, right? So to try and see why my property is being seized, and they said you cannot do anything. Complete misrepresentation. All of that is caught on video. But more importantly, I spoke to everybody in Aam Aadmi Party, from the topmost people to everyone who's influential. And I find it bizarre that the minister says that he has no control over his own department. This is absolutely bizarre. In my case, the person who took my car was from Uttar Pradesh. So from Uttar Pradesh, he came all the way to Delhi with a transport department officer, and he took my car. And Kailash Gehlot tells, mark my words, he says, I can't do anything except writing a letter. If he can't do anything, how is his picture on all the buses? How is the transport department allowing his buses? All of this is a mafia being run. All of them are making money. They're selling these cars, and I'm saying this with a lot of responsibility. Some of these cars are being sold to Africa. They're being sold out of the country. Some of the other cars are being sold to states where you can pay 2,000 rupees and you can allow these cars to continue. So this is a complete racket being run. And if this scam is actually unearthed, it's worth crores of rupees. Can you imagine? Because again, they didn't know this was my car. I came there. It came on video. The cops came in. The guy who took my car, the company that took my car, I think it's called EV Green, their owner came and they tried to strike a deal with me saying, we'll return your car, just don't make it an issue, because there's crores to be made in this. This is a scam. But think about the middle class, think about the old man, think about the petitioner, the somebody who's living on a pension, who puts all his life money or her life money in getting a car, and their car is taken away and they are made to run pillar to post. This is so unfair, and they're all making crores of rupees on this.
No, I have no doubt about the fact that this is a scam. The Transport Department of Delhi is running a scam. I have absolutely no doubt about it, Tehseen, not just because you are talking about it, but the fact is, when we open up our call lines on this very channel, there are citizens who will tell you, who will call you and say, you know, our car was sent to the scrapyard. We were not given a notice. All we got to know was that it was sent to the scrapyard and we got some minimal amount of money. And a year later, we get a call from Punjab thanking, you know, a service center thanking us for using them to service the car. So here is a car that was technically sent to the scrapyard, but instead has landed up somewhere in Punjab, sold to someone in Punjab, and is still very much plying on the roads. So I have no doubt about the fact that the Transport Department is running a scam. Today the Delhi High Court clearly has said that this is not a dictatorship we are running, कि किसी के घर से भी बाहर जाओ, उनकी गाड़ी उठाओ और उसको स्क्रैप यार्ड में भेज दो और 10,000 रुपए उनके हाथ में दे दो. So the Delhi High Court has come down very heavily on the Aam Aadmi Party and the Transport Department, and you're right. It is very intriguing that twice now Delhi's Transport Minister has said stop this drive of seizing vehicles, and yet the Transport Department, 1 week after the minister says it, goes ahead and does exactly what they want to do. Anurag Saxena, you know, do you have the High Court is very clear. It has said what it has said. What it is also making clear is that the NGT order nowhere had talked about sending vehicles to the scrapyard. My point is, how could the Transport Department then misrepresent and distort the NGT's order and use it to pick up vehicles and send them to scrapyards? I'm not sure all of the vehicles were sent to scrapyards, but anyhow, that's what they claimed.
Shreya, being a petitioner in the Honorable Supreme Court, I had very clarity. With clarity, I had said very clearly that the initial order issued by the Honorable National Green Tribunal and the Honorable Supreme Court has not been appropriately read and has been grossly misunderstood, misinterpreted to suit the conveniences of the money-minded administration, which includes all and sundry, irrespective of the political affiliation or anything else, at the cost of honest taxpayer. I reiterate Neither the NGT nor the Supreme Court has passed any order. I categorically say, there has been no order to ban, scrap, or forcibly lift away the said vehicles. There isn't a single order of this nature ever since 2014. When we petitioned to the Honorable Supreme Court, we were dismissed with the cost. The fact remains that today vehicles, we have a dynamic constitution. We have 106, nearly 106 amendments. Why can't this be, sent to an expert opinion or for a technical scrutiny? We have the orders in 2014. How can they expect that the technology will remain the same in 2019? The entire advancements in the technologies have been brushed aside. As Tehseen said, scrapping 20 rupees a kg vis-a-vis 40 rupees a kg, which is existing in the market. Scrappage policy clearly states that the scrapper will have a particular area. He's issued a license for a particular area. The notice has to be given, the RC registration certificate has to be taken, agreement has to be signed. There are videos of these spare parts being sold illegally, especially by people like Pineview, which I have a particular video which clearly states that they're selling spare parts in the open. Okay, I would request through your medium, through your channel, that the dynamic and the judicious Chief Justice of India should step into the matter, and this entire order should be reviewed by the Honorable Supreme Court. The issue is not on clean air or the pollution, but it is on the matter of age-based pollution norms, which are absolutely incorrect. Interpretation of these orders have to be taken with the existing laws. 2018 judgment of the Supreme Court and 2015 order of the NGT doesn't match with any of the interpretations.
Just a minute. We know.
Correctly said. The public is harassed beyond
limits. Just a minute here. Just a minute here. There are two matters here. Let's not confuse things. There are two matters here. Just a minute. Just give me a minute. Give me a minute. There are two matters here, ladies and gentlemen. Just let me clarify that for you. One, of course, is the matter where you are dealing with old vehicles, overaged vehicles being scrapped. Now, there are enough and more citizens who are coming out and saying, look, our petrol vehicle may be 10 years old, but it is not polluting. We have a non-polluting certificate. We have maintained it very well. Where is the logic in asking us to scrap the car or sell it to someone in another state? We don't want to do that. We can't afford a second car. In fact, it is, if you're talking about the environment, it's probably more environment friendly if we keep running our old car, given the fact that we've maintained it very well. So this is one aspect of the story, but that is not the aspect of the story we are talking about. By the way, I agree with what these citizens are saying, that if your car is perfectly okay, if your petrol car is perfectly okay, even if it is more than 15 years old, there's no problem. Even if your diesel car is perfectly okay, if it's above 10 years old, it's perfectly okay. What's the problem in it plying on the roads? But any case, there is a Supreme Court order against it, and that is a different subject of debate. Today, the subject of debate is the fact that how can a department of the Delhi government, आप अनुराग अपना उंगली हिला रहे हैं, एक मिनट रुकिए. How can a department of the Delhi government misrepresent and distort what the NGT is saying and simply tow away vehicles of citizens without giving them a notice and sending them to the scrap yard? This was dadagiri. In fact, in the court's words, they said this was dictatorship. Give me a minute, because I'm just quickly going to get in Siddharth Luthra as well. Siddharth Luthra, how are you viewing the Delhi High Court's order today?
It's you can't really blame the Delhi government. There's a history to this, but there's a chronic problem, and the problem is this. The NGT had come down with certain directions saying that cars more than 15 years should not ply in Delhi. Now, that's all very well, but the fact of the matter remains that such vehicles are, if maintained properly, are being used all over the world, as long as they conform to the standards that are applicable to them. In this context, at one point of time, because of those orders and the ministry's approach, the Delhi government was executing these orders for scrapping, and the consequence was that all vehicles more than 15 years old, including vintage vehicles and what we call classic vehicles, are all being scrapped, which is a little odd. If I have my vehicle, it may be an object of art for me. It may be a matter of emotion for me. It may be my father's, my grandfather's, some vehicle. I should be entitled to hold my property, and scrapping of it is illogical. So far as vintage vehicles have come, there is actually a policy saying that they can now be registered and used on special days. A policy had to come on classic vehicles, but it's lost somewhere in this union ministry. Till then, what is happening is the implementation of the directions which was being executed through the Delhi government and these agencies meant that the agencies were having a field day. And it's becoming bizarre when, neighbors are complaining about neighbors, vehicles are being picked up, and people are protesting that why should this vehicle be scrapped when it's otherwise fit to be at least used or maintained? It's not causing a nuisance. It's parked in my garage. Why should it be taken away?
Tehseen, then, what the Transport Department in Delhi has done over the last 6 months, has been deliberate. It has deliberately harassed citizens. They have distorted the order of the NGT, misrepresented it, and done what they have done. My question to you is, can they get away with murder? Who is liable?
Yeah. Kailash Gehlot is liable, but he won't take responsibility for it. When I contacted everybody, and I'm topmost in Aam Aadmi Party, and you know my equation with all of them, Kailash Gehlot finged helplessness. He says the Transport Commissioner does not listen to me. And I told the most prominent MP in Aam Aadmi Party, ask him to step down. I'll become a minister for 15 days, and how will the Transport Commissioner not listen? If the Transport Commissioner does not listen to him, how is his picture on all the buses? This is being, so I am telling you this is a scam. But look, what Siddharth Luthra ji said is extremely important. It could hold emotional value. In the case of my car, mine was a beautiful SUV. Your viewers are seeing the car, very well maintained. It didn't even have a battery inside. I wasn't driving the car. My wife's dog died in the car, and our present dogs, the ones that we have, they just go, they sniff, they said, it's my car. It is an emotional value. I don't want to sell it. What do I do with 20,000-30,000? I don't need it. It's just there. My dogs sit in the car. They miss Cindy, who passed away in that car. So they just go sit there. It was for my and my wife's emotional needs. How can you come smash my private property, take it away? So, and Kailash Gehlot finges helplessness. So I think at some point this has to stop. And I honestly hope that there is an audit, a CAG audit, because I'll tell you some of the rules that are being violated. When the car is picked up, apart from the notice, which the petitioner spoke about rightly, which is being violated, another thing, before these cars are scrapped, all these cars which are being scrapped should be video recorded. That video should be submitted if the person who owns the car asks for it. There should be an agreement. Where is the agreement? Where is the video of the cars being recycled or whatever? There isn't, because these cars, and I repeat, are not just sold in Punjab or other places in India. They are sold in East Africa, which was colonized by the British. Therefore, they have the same kind of driving that we have in India, that is right-hand driving, as a result of which these cars are sold there. The massive scam that is happening is unprecedented. Can you imagine, Shreya, and I want your viewers to imagine, a middle-class family spends all their savings in buying a car. For 15 years, 13 years, you pay an EMI, and some bunch of goons enter your private property, smash your cars, and they take it and they go away, only to give you 20,000-30,000 rupees. Can you imagine what kind of a system we are living in, and what kind of gundaism? And these people roam around in the official vehicle of the Transport Department. The videos are supplied to Mirror now. You all have played it, and the officer had no answer. In a uniform, and these goons are roaming around. They enter private property. They barge into private property like vigilante gangs.
So you now have this Transport Department has been given 2 weeks to return all vehicles that have been seized. But the fact is that some have been not just seized, some have been impounded and sent to the scrapyard. What happens to that? What is the compensation that will be awarded? And more importantly, will the Transport Department be hauled and the Transport Minister be hauled for what has gone on in the name of an NGT order in the last 6 months? Those are questions that need to be answered as well. Because, Babus can just simply do anything and then get away with it. Is that the country we want to be? Is that the democracy we want to be, where the dignity of a citizen is compromised every day? We need to think about it. We'll leave it there for the moment. Tehseen, thank you very much. Mr. Saxena, thank you very much. And Mr. Luthra, thank you very much for joining us as well. On that note, I'm slipping into a quick break on the show, but up next tomorrow is going to be a momentous day for more reasons than one. We are talking about that in just a bit. Do stay with us.